In this video, we'll discuss the various types of lighting fixtures. All right, welcome. So let's get started. Today we're going to be talking about various lighting instruments, and we've got a guest speaker that's going to do much of the presentation. So I'm just going to give you some basic information to start with and then turn it over to my colleague Alton Tuning. What we're talking about, different types of lighting instruments, types of fixtures, and sources of light. The types of fixtures is how the light is encased and how it's focused onto the subjects. So the most basic type of fixture would be just a raw source. You know, it just shoots the light everywhere. It's out of control, you know. Yeah, you might have that. You might use that, in fact. You might put a string of light bulbs up, you know, as a part of your set decoration or something. The next level would be what we call an open face light. And that has a reflector in the back and then the light source, but the front of it's open. There's kind of a protective wire screen here, but it doesn't have to be there. It's just open. Most of those are focusable, which is there's a spot flood in the back, and you can get it, you know, a narrower or a wider beam. There are some that are just like called a scoop that's just not focusable, super simple. Then this would be a Fresnel, which has a lens in front of it, a glass lens, usually glass, and it's a lens that's got rings because it's been kind of sliced up and recombined, so it's lighter. Those also have a reflector in the back, and they're also focusable, but those will create a sharper light because of the lens. And then you have an ellipsoidal or ellipsoid, which is an even more focusable light. It's got a solid lens in the middle of it. The lens moves. It's got, you know, shutters that are adjustable on the inside. Some of them will zoom in and out to get wider and tighter. So, you know, even a more controllable type of light fixture. And then you've got a panel, which is just an array of lots and lots and lots of little lights that functions as one big wide source. Sometimes they have diffusion over top of them to even, you know, smear out the source even more than that. These are often dimmable. They'll even make these in like flexible panels, so you can kind of wrap them around a corner or something like that. And these often will have different colors mixed together. So by controlling the brightness, you can change the color of the light. These are kind of a variation on the panel light, just in different shapes. You'll have like a little wand or a ring or, you know, various kinds of things like that. They're the same type of technology generally, but just with unique shapes for certain purposes. And then there are lights that are tubes. They can be just a loose tube, and those are pretty useful for a lot of things, or they can be in a fixture like this. They can be different colors, and they can be mixed and matched. They can be dimmable. And then you can have this kind of a light is kind of an indirect light. The light's encased in here, and it's bouncing off a white surface. So that's just a soft light that's achieved by indirect light. And then lights that are an array that have a whole bunch of lights in a unit, and they can all be turned off and on and aimed separately. So that's kind of a real quick overview of all the different kinds of lights there are. And Alton is going to show you these things and go over them in detail, but just wanted to give you a visual and text kind of overview of what we're talking about. And then in terms of light sources, these are most of the kinds of things that can make light. Lots of things can make light. But that's just kind of a laundry list of some of the kinds of things that you know, can make light. Number one, Monsieur Soleil, the world's largest light source, nuclear fusion powered. You ain't gonna beat it. Very useful. Number two, tungsten. Tungsten is very old. It creates light by heating up a piece of metal. It's very hot. It uses a lot of power. You know, it's kind of a warm color light. Again, just running electricity through a metal filament. That's a very simple technology. Fluorescent is actually a tube full of gas. It uses a lot less power. It's a lot less heat. They can be different colors, and you're actually creating what they call a plasma. You've got a gas. There's a very high voltage electricity. The there's a transformer that steps the electricity up to a very high voltage, and it hits the molecules in that gas and creates this charged plasma that lights up in there. So there's an HMI, which is a type of arc light. It's very efficient. It's very bright for the power you put into it. And it's an arc of electricity running through a little gas-filled globe. They don't make a ton of heat for as powerful as they are. They're daylight balanced. These are usually they're often very large lights because they're the only light that can put out that much light. So when somebody needs something really big, they'll go to an HMI, but there's like a little glass envelope. There's a gas in there. It's also very high voltage. There's a transformer that ballast that jacks the voltage way high up, and it creates this arc of electricity that's very, very bright. LEDs are a semiconductor, same thing that computer chips are made out of, and you run current through the semiconductor, and it creates light. I can't pretend to understand exactly how that black magic works, but they use very low power. They don't have a lot of heat. They can make them in all different colors. So very popular light source. There's a little diagram of how you've got the different types of semiconductor material, and when you put electricity through it, light comes out, photons get emitted. And then there are a number of other things. In still photography, you use a strobe light, which just flashes for an instant, but very bright for the amount of power. In addition to HMIs, there are other kinds of arc lights that use an arc of electricity. There's a very old one called a carbon arc. There's something called a xenon. There's a mercury vapor, those yellow things you see they used to see in street lights and factories. This is what the inside of a HMI bulb looks like. You have lasers, a flame. You have chemical things like a glow stick or a jellyfish or something. So there's all kinds of things that can make light. So that's just to give a general overview and a little documentation on all the different kinds of sizes and shapes of lights there are, and all the different kinds of processes that emit light. And this little chart, which you can look at later if you'd like, just kind of lays down some of the different characteristics. But each of these light sources has their own pluses and minuses, their own characteristics. And so there's a lot of different options that you are faced with when you're looking out into the lighting world. And now I'm going to turn this over to our guest speaker, Alton, who is going to show you this stuff and demonstrate it. Alton is an amazing director of photography. You can look him up on IMDb. He's done lots and lots of movies and commercials and everything else. Good friend of mine and super talented. And he is going to go through a lot of what I just mentioned briefly and show you some of these lights and answer your questions and really give you the lowdown on that. And that will be it for me for this session. Click on the next video to continue. New videos drop every couple of days. If you like what you see, like and follow us on our social media channels. And everything is downloadable for free on our website, ruchiproductions.com.